July 21st, 1972. Nancy Trotter and Pamela Wells are standing on the side of a Florida highway. They are young, they are hitchhiking, and they are vulnerable. When a patrol car pulls up, they sigh with relief. The man behind the wheel is Deputy Gerard Schaefer. He is wearing a crisp uniform. He has a shiny badge. He smiles and tells them that hitchhiking is illegal, but he will give them a ride to the beach. They get in the car. They think they are safe. They do not know that they have just climbed into a cage with a man who would later go to prison and taunt Ted Bundy, bragging that Bundy was an amateur compared to him. They do not know that in 20 minutes they will not be at the beach. They will be deep in the swamps of Martin County, standing on the roots of an oak tree, with nooses around their necks, forced to balance on their tiptoes to keep from hanging themselves. This is the story of the killer cop, the deviltry that locals claim cannot be cut down, and the terrifying secrets Florida has tried to bury. Better than Bundy. We often think of serial killers as loners hiding in the shadows, but Gerard Schaefer hid in the light. He was a former teacher. He was a priest in training, and most terrifyingly, he was a police officer. His ego was as large as his body count. While incarcerated at the Florida State Prison, Schaefer wasn't just an inmate, he was a rival. He served time alongside the infamous Ted Bundy. But Schaefer was not impressed. He reportedly mocked Bundy, calling him a Boy Scout and an
You're
amateur.
nothing but a
Schaefer
Boy
was
Scout.
obsessed
You hear
with
me,
the score.
Bundy?
He wanted to be the best. He told investigators that doing doubles, abducting 2 women at once, was his specialty. He said, quote, "Doing doubles is far more difficult than doing singles, but on the other hand, it also puts one in a position to have twice as much fun." He viewed his victims not as people, but as players in a twisted game where he held all the cards, and the badge on his chest was his winning hand. The hangman's method. Schaefer's method was uniquely cruel. He didn't always kill immediately. He liked to play the hangman. He would take his victims to the thick mangroves or the oak hammocks of Hutchinson Island. He would bind them and place nooses around their necks, but he wouldn't kick the chair out. Instead, he would position them on tree roots or old crates, forcing them to stand on their tiptoes. As long as they could stand, they could breathe. He would leave them there, sometimes for hours, waiting for their muscles to fail. It was a form of torture designed to prolong terror. When police eventually raided his mother's home, they didn't just find jewelry and teeth. They found stories. Schaefer had written hundreds of pages of what he called fiction. He described these torture scenarios in graphic detail. He claimed they were just horror novels, but investigators knew better. These weren't stories, they were confessions. But Schaefer's ultimate humiliation didn't happen in the interrogation room. It happened in his personal life. His second wife, Teresa Dean, had initially stood by him. During the trial, she was seen giggling and cuddling with the killer cop during court recesses, blindly supporting her husband while the families of victims watched in horror. But she did not stay lonely for long. In a twist that sounds like bad fiction, Schaefer's own defense attorney, Elton Schwartz, began a relationship with Teresa. Shortly after Schaefer was locked away for life, the lawyer who failed to save him married his wife. The man who thought he was the ultimate manipulator, who claimed to be smarter than Ted Bundy, ended up losing his freedom to the state and his wife to his own payroll. The legend of the deviltry. Schaefer is gone, stabbed 42 times in his cell in 1995, but the tree remains. Located in Oak Hammock Park in Port St. Lucie, the tree has become a magnet for dark legends. Locals call it the deviltry. The stories are persistent. They say that attempts to cut the tree down have failed. Chainsaws mysteriously stop working. Axe heads fly off their handles. Some visitors report a heavy, suffocating feeling in the air. But the most chilling evidence might not be physical. On a video exploring this very location, a viewer named Ryan shared a disturbing experience. He claimed that while recording at the site, he captured an electronic voice phenomenon, or EVP, a whisper on the tape. The voice seemed to say a single name, Peggy. This chills the blood when you realize that 9-year-old Peggy Ron was one of Schaefer's suspected victims who vanished in 1970. Is it a coincidence? Or is the land itself remembering what happened there? The Bob Ross conspiracy. But perhaps the strangest chapter in the legend of the deviltry doesn't come from a police report or a ghost hunter. It comes from public television. There is a theory that has been circulating in the dark corners of the internet, sparked by eagle-eyed viewers who noticed an unsettling detail in the background of a very familiar place. In 1991, Bob Ross aired Season 23, Episode 2 of The Joy of Painting. The episode was titled Forest Edge. In this episode, Bob paints a Florida-style landscape featuring a large, prominent oak tree. And for those who have studied the crime scene photos of Gerard Schaefer's Devil Tree, the resemblance is uncomfortable. From the specific V shape of the trunk to the way the roots twist above the ground, the very roots where Schaefer forced his victims to balance on their tiptoes, the similarities are striking. Now, Bob Ross did spend a significant amount of time in Florida. He was stationed at Eglin Air Force Base for years. Is it possible that he saw the crime scene photos on the news during the highly publicized trials in the 70s, and the image stuck in his subconscious? It is likely just a coincidence, a happy accident, as Bob might say. But for those who know the history of the hangman, looking at that painting doesn't bring joy, it brings a chill. Locals in Port St. Lucie still debate the true location. Some say the tree marked with axe wounds is just a decoy for tourists, and that the real site of the horrors lies deeper in the woods, unmarked and watching. Whether you believe in ghosts, coincidences, or just the evil that men do, one thing is certain. In Martin County, the trees have eyes. What do you think? Is the Bob Ross painting a coincidence? And have you ever visited the Devil Tree? Let me know in the comments below. I'll see you in the next vault.